everyone, my name is Natasha Westover and welcome to Accounted International. Today I'm joined by AK and we're talking about managing your online presence. Now, let's be clear, when AK and I started our careers 20 odd years ago, this was something we just didn't have to worry about. It didn't exist. But recently I was joined by Cat Briggs on our new podcast available on iTunes and Spotify. And she was talking about what she looks at when she's recruiting. And she's been involved in recruitment for many years now in her role as executive assistant. And she gives some really, really good tips on our latest podcast. But AK and I are going to talk about our experience of what we do and what we look for when we're employing others. So here's how it looks in a finance environment. Over to you, AK.
Thanks, Natasha. Yeah, I think absolutely it's worth bearing in mind that nowadays, with all the various social media platforms, you are visible to a wide audience. And I think, recruiters, employers, customers, suppliers, a lot of people will have a sniff around your social profiles. Primarily, they're going to be looking at things like LinkedIn, but if they're sort of doing some sort of due diligence on you as an individual, they may well have a look at your Facebook posts, Instagram posts, etc. So I think my first point would be just be mindful of who your audience is, or who your potential audience is, and you're a professional, so try and ensure that the content that you're putting online reflects you as a professional. Secondly, I would say to make sure that all your platforms are consistent. So if you say on your LinkedIn platform, LinkedIn profile, that you do charitable work, or you are involved in certain sort of activities outside of work, then make sure that that's reflected on your Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, because again, it's that thing of if you do link, if you have a sort of relationship outside of work with any of those individuals, then they're going to see exactly what you get up to in your weekends, and if you're showing conflicting positions, then they may question your integrity. I think as well, I would suggest things like with LinkedIn, just constantly update your profile. Make sure that you're getting recommendations from people. Make sure that you're putting content, sort of articles and such up. Keep yourself visible, because I think again, if you're looking for work, or if you're building a network, having people seeing that you have interesting things to say holds you in good stead. So I would always recommend just keep updating that LinkedIn profile. And finally, one that we're all a little lax about from time to time is check your security settings. You can lock down what people can see, especially around Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, etc. So check your security settings. Make sure that it's friends and family, and not the wider public that can see whatever you're getting up to at the weekend. Unless you want to share that with the world, and in which case just be very vigilant. What do you think, Natasha?
Yeah, very very good advice. All things I would say to anyone out there who wants, I know Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff, it's fun, but it does still represent you, and you are kidding yourself if you think your new employer doesn't look at and do a search for you. I certainly do when I'm employing people, and I search it not because necessarily I'm interested to see what that person is doing. I search it so that if my superiors search it, I already know what they're going to see, and they're not going to see anything crazy. So that's why I do my searches. You mentioned, AK, about asking people for recommendations on LinkedIn. I think it's really good to ask people after you finished a project, or after you finished a piece of work, or maybe even or maybe even towards the end of your role, that you ask for recommendations. Do it in the moment rather than wait until like the next 3 years have passed, you've decided to look for a new role, and then you're going back going, do you remember that project we worked on 3 years ago? Can I have a recommendation? Do it in the moment, but also give recommendations. People are way more likely to give you a good recommendation if you proactively give them a recommendation. This is something that I'm trying to work on in 2019 myself. So I'm going to take that advice on myself as well as give it to you. But if I go back to like LinkedIn, how I view LinkedIn is I'm trying to tell people how I do my finance work, not what finance work I really cover. So there's a profile bit in LinkedIn where you can write a summary about yourself. My summary is all about how I do my work, and that gives people an understanding of how I might fit into their culture. And people have given me really, really great feedback on it. But I'd like to share how I came to that summary, because I didn't do it all on my own. There was someone in my team who just seemed to be able to understand how people did things, and I liked the way he spoke. And so I asked him if he'd sit with me and help me come up with a summary. And we literally went through all different aspects of how I work, and together we put together a summary. So I would say, look at people around you that you trust, that you like the way they explain things, you like their language. That person was very vigilant at noticing different people and noticing their strengths and weaknesses. And when I saw that, I was like, can you do that to me? Can you like audit me and us to create some language around it? And I've used exactly that for my summary, and I've had really good feedback on it. So I would always say, be vigilant about who you think can help you. And also look online, and when you see someone who you know that you're able to approach, and you see that they've got a really good LinkedIn profile, just reach out to them and say, did you do that yourself? Could you help me? If they've used someone else, and loads of my friends have used outsiders to help them, and like professionals to like write their CV and things like that. But reach out to them and say, your profile looks really good. Do you have any advice, or would you mind meeting me for a coffee? And I think that really helps. The final thing I do is I test things on LinkedIn. So I put up my CV, I put up different types of CVs, I put up a one-pager about how I work, about the things I've been working on. I test different things and I ask people to feedback. And I think one of the most important things is actually reaching out to my network and saying, how does this look? What do you think of this? And just getting some feedback. I think that's really, really important. But it is important, AK was saying it, like keep updating your LinkedIn, keep testing as well, and see what works and see what doesn't work. Do you have any final comments, AK?
No, I think absolutely that is just keep on top of these things, and remember that you're promoting your brand, and if you present it in different conflicting ways, then people won't really know who you are, and you are less likely to attract their interest.
Yeah, I like that. You're promoting your brand, so be authentic, be congruent across all the different platforms, and be relevant. So keep updating it. I think that's the best advice we can give. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you in the next video. Does your dog have an Instagram account?
No.
It's not a real pet then, AK. It's just not a real pet.